Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today morning discussion. We're going to read from Bhagavad Gita chapter number 14 onwards. Before that, let us offer prayers together. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Go Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Just one quick second.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you are on mute.
Oh, thank you. I forgot. Karmana sukratasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajastastu phalam dukkham ajnanam tamasaha phalam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. So, quick recap. We are on the 14th chapter now, where Lord Shri Krishna is describing about the material nature. He had introduced the qualities of material nature in the second chapter itself, where Krishna says, the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to transcend the modes of material nature. Second chapter, the words just skipped my head. 1 second, 43, 44, I believe it's where it talks about. 1 second, quickly. Dure nahi karmana sayatmika buddhi. Traigunya vishaya veda nistraigunya bhavarjuna nirdvando nitya sattvasto niryoga shema atmavan. Second chapter, verse number 45. Reading the translation, the Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. So here now, and few of the places Krishna has spoken about three modes of material nature. In the third chapter also, Prakriti, Kremanani, then Devi, Shagunamai, Mamai, Dharati, etc., etc. Now in the 14th chapter, we have elaborate discussion. What are these three modes of material nature? So the first part of this 14th chapter established Krishna with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tasmin Garbham Dadamiham. I impregnated this material nature with all living entities. Aham Bij Pratapita. I am the seed giving Father. And then the discussion about the nature and the quality of this material nature begins, where material nature is said to have is defined in the form of three modes, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. So how it affects, in fact, everything about us is governed by these three modes of material nature. Everything about us is governed by it. Because, and if you understand the subject matter, then we would recognize the one thing, the one lesson learning you will have immediately is that yes, prakriti hi kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha. I'm entirely controlled by the material nature through the chains of modes. And that is what is the discussion going on. Mode of goodness, what are the symptoms of mode of goodness, how it conditions a living entity. In the ninth verse, it conditions one to happiness, whereas in passion, it conditions one to fruitive action, labor. You really want to work hard. And ignorance, mode of ignorance covers to blindness. He does all abominable activities considered to be source of happiness. Then what is the destination of an individual who departs in such a mode of consciousness is being discussed. And now we talked about actions and results. So the result, coming back to 16 verse, the result of pious action is pure, is said to be in mode of goodness. The three kinds of karmas that we discussed in the 4th chapter, as Krishna talks about, akarma, karma, vikarma. So karma is pious action, that is under mode of goodness. So that is this. Then we have mode of passion. Mode of passion can have karma and can also have vikarma. And mode of ignorance, largely vikarma. That's the point is mentioned here. Action done in the mode of passion results in misery. And action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. So what about akarma? Akarma is something, of course, in mode of goodness also we can perform akarma, but it's subject matter of Shuddha Sattva Guna. That's the point. All right, let's read the purport. Oh, it's a big purport. Okay, let me read some part of it and then I'll request some of you, those who like to read, they raise their hands. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The result of pious activities in the mode of goodness is pure. Therefore, the sages who are free from all illusion are situated in happiness. But activities in the mode of passion are simply miserable. Any activity for material happiness is bound to be defeated. If, for example, one wants to have a skyscraper, so much human misery has to be undergone before a big skyscraper can be built. The financier has to take much trouble to earn a mass of wealth. And those who are slaving to construct the building have to render physical toil. The miseries are there. Thus, Bhagavad Gita says that in any activity performed under the spell of the mode of passion, there is definitely great misery. There may be a little so-called mental happiness. I have this house or this money, but this is not actual happiness. As far as the mode of ignorance is concerned, the performer is without knowledge, and therefore all his activity result in present misery, and afterwards will go down to animal life. Animal life is always miserable. Although under the spell of the illusion energy, Maya, the animals do not understand this. Slaughtering poor animals is also due to the mode of ignorance. The animal killers do not know that in the future the animal will have a body suitable to kill them. That is the law of nature. In human society, if one kills a man, he has to be hanged. That is the law of the state. Because of ignorance, people do not perceive that there is a complete state controlled by the Supreme Lord. Every living creature is a son of the Supreme Lord, and he does not tolerate even ants being killed. One has to pay for it. So indulgence in animal killing for the taste of the tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. So ahead we'll see about eating habits also. So once again I'll reiterate, we are at all time controlled by the material nature, and how material nature exercises its control or her control on us through the modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Now how we live our life further strengthens the news of these respective modes. So Prabhupada is mentioning here, those who are engaged in animal killing, that's a sinful act, that's a mode of ignorance. Not only that, those who consume meat, they are further cultivating mode of ignorance. What is mode of ignorance? What is a platform of knowledge? Because knowledge is also divided. according to the modes. First of all, the knowledge that we gain through our school and college is largely of under mode of ignorance, because it is Jada Vidya. Jada is dead matter. That is ignorance. So we actually do not get any meaningful education today, if you understand from the perspective of Bhagavad Gita. So if we have got only, first of all, we have got knowledge also of ignorance, which means person is not situated in real knowledge, as Prabhupada says, in the ignorance. So all his actions are further going to create ignorance. For him, this verse says, all actions results in foolishness, which means no success. But he thinks he is becoming successful. Let me give an example. There are people who rejoices in causing destruction, knowing the fact while causing destruction to other, I will also be destroyed. His Holiness Devamrit Maharaj in one of his Bhagavatam classes was giving an example that during the Cold War, during the mid-70s, there was a situation where it was flagged by America that Russia has, or USSR has, actually launched nuclear missile. So it was a problem at the radar system of America. It created a false signal. America, and also I believe it was an issue at the Russia where there a false signal was created. Something like that was a story. And here, actually it was the other way around. The USSR radar system created a false signal, and actually it flagged as if America has launched a nuclear missile. So a counter attack has to be launched. At that point of time, one part is the missiles had to be launched, and some fighter jets were asked to take off. And the pilots were supposed to fly to America and drop nuclear bomb there. And the condition was you drop and you don't come back. It was something like that, you will die after dropping the nuclear. So it was a known thing. This is what's going to happen. So when this whole thing, before they could launch a nuclear attack on America, just within few minutes of time, and the whole flights have taken off everything, when they got to know that actually it was a false alarm, then the pilots were informed that, you have to abort the mission. So it is mentioned that the pilots were regretting, oh man, I missed a chance to launch a nuclear missile. So His Holiness Devamrit Maharaj was mentioning, although they knew they're going to go and cause destruction of life, and in that course of time, they would also get destroyed. Yet they were thinking that is a great action. This is called as action performed in mode of ignorance. Like that. That's the point is mentioned here. So either meat eating, again, is an act of violence. Those who perform or those who consume meat, this is nothing but under mode of ignorance, and they further strengthen the noose of mode of ignorance. So as you engage and perform your activities, accordingly, we strengthen a particular mode of consciousness. That is what is being described. So animal killers do not know. So indulgence in animal killing for the taste of the tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals because God has supplied so many nice things. If one indulges in meat eating, he is to be understood acting ignorance and is making his future very dark. Of all kinds of animal killing, the killing of cows is most vicious because the cow gives us all kinds of pleasure by supplying milk. That's what is being mentioned here. Next paragraph. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society in the world. Vishnu Puran 1.19.65. Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmanetaya Jagataya Krishnaya Govindaya. Namo Namo. The purport is that special mention is given in that prayer for the protection of the cows and the brahmanas. Brahmanas are the symbol of spiritual education, and cows are the symbol of most valuable food. These two living creatures, the brahmanas and the cows, must be given all protection. That is real advancement of civilization. In modern human society, spiritual knowledge is neglected and cow killing is encouraged. It is to be understood then that human society is advancing in the wrong direction and is clearing the path to its own condemnation. A civilization which guides the citizen to become animals in their next lives is certainly not a human civilization. Are you seeing the perspective of Prabhupada? So when Prabhupada is writing this purport, he is not only speaking about what's going to happen to you in this life. Prabhupada is seeing a complete picture. What a profound statement Prabhupada says. A civilization which guides the citizens to become animals in their next lives is certainly not a human civilization. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by the modes of passion and ignorance. It is a very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save humanity from the greatest danger. There are a lot of people outside who would say the world is in danger. And I believe those who are practicing spiritual culture, let's say, those who have read Bhagavad Gita, let's say all of us, will also agree the world is in danger. Am I correct? Yes or no? But is there a difference between we saying world is in danger and the people outside saying world is in danger? Ozone layer is going to collapse. There's going to be nuclear war. Antarctic Ocean would melt. The human population would explode. Global warming. Starvation. That is their understanding of world is in danger. When it comes to us, I don't think so we have ever discussed, oh, the ice is melting. There's a food shortage. So there's a global warming, there's a human population explosion, whatnot. So what is the difference here? Anyone like to reflect a little bit? So we are also worried saying that world is in danger. There are people outside also, some people, not all, but there are some people also saying world is in danger. Now you may say, oh, looks like Prabhuji, we are also in knowledge, they're also in knowledge. But one knowledge is out of ignorance, one knowledge is out of goodness, which means you know the truth. And they are just creating a fiction story. Now, anyone can give me a difference. Now, I can love to hear from you, but only thing is they cannot hear. So I'll have to take input from the online audience. After the class, we'll take an input from you. Anyone would like to give an input? So those of you hands are up. I believe that was for reading. Krishna Chandra Prabhu, you want to give a try? If your hand is up, I don't know for which, but you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, to me, the difference, I think it's basically we are more concerned on the next life rather than this life. That's what the teaching tells us.
Okay.
Whereas the current friends of ours will say, hey, what's going to happen now?
Wonderful. Correct. Okay. What else? What else is the difference? Good point. Good point. If I can just add one more point, most of the fear factor the people outside have is non-existing. The world will come to an end. The human life will end. Nothing gonna end. Only your ignorance has to end. Unless that ends, nothing gonna change in the world. So they keep talking about human population explosion and all that. So most of the fear factor doesn't exist. And even if it exists, they only keep talking. They cannot do anything about it. They'll say ozone layer will deplete. Stop using the car. Stop using the AC. Stop eating meat. They will not do anything. They'll only talk about it. What else? What is the difference? Another major factor where we talk about is the consciousness is becoming more and more corrupted. The world is in danger. The influence of Kali is increasing day by day. The cow slaughter, the Brahminical culture is being destroyed. The people are becoming more and more atheistic. That is the root cause of all problem. The root cause of all problem is not pollution. The root cause of all human problem is not because the animal population in the forest have increased. Or the root cause of problem for us is not because human population have increased. The root cause of all problem is atheism. That's what Prabhupada said. The root cause of all problem is lack of God consciousness. So there's an entirely different understanding. All right, these are some of the quick thoughts onto it. Let's move on to text number 17. We read 16, right? Yeah. Text number 17. Sattva sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha eva cha pramada moha tamaso bhavato jnanam eva cha. Now the consequence. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Very, very important purport. Prabhupada writes in this purport, why ISKCON is needed. So what is the consequence? Goodness results into real knowledge. Passion leads to greed. And ignorance leads to foolishness, madness, and illusion. So what we talked about, the problems of the people outside, now what do you call it? Illusion? Food shortage, human explosion, population explosion, ozone depletion, the collapse of planet Earth, the meteor strike, whatnot. This is illusion. That is what the ignorance led to. Madness, foolishness. Let's take a look at the puppet. Fantastic puppet. Since the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities, Krishna consciousness is recommended. Through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. In the mode of ignorance, for example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they're taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. Because people have no education, actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. Very important. What education? For developing the mode of goodness. When they're actually educated in the mode of goodness, they will become sober and full knowledge of the things as they are. Then people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is a possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. How important for us, all of us, not only to receive the education which helps cultivate mode of goodness, but also participate in sharing and supporting such educational efforts. Why? Because in return helps us. We can live peacefully in this world. Otherwise, the world is devoted to the mode of passion and ignorance. There can be no peace or prosperity. In the mode of passion, people have become greedy. People become greedy. And the hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind, isn't it? Everyone is struggling. Everyone is struggling. Think about for yourself also. Just before coming to Krishna consciousness, you had probably had the material success, which means you had a job. That itself is a success today. You were married, which is also a success, not divorced yet in Kali Yuga. This is what is the situation today. Yet there was neither happiness nor peace of mind. Yes or no? You're still struggling. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession, occupation are also very troublesome to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad. Being distressed by their circumstances, they take shelter of intoxication. Thus, they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark. Who does not drink today? मैं पानी की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, हाँ? मैं इस पृथ्वी के सोम रस की बात कर रहा हूँ. And why people take to drinking alcohol? Because they want to forget their miserable existence, which is a mode of ignorance activity and which further pushes them into an act of foolishness. This is what our society. Who has not seen such people here? Tell me. Who has not? Now you see how people are governed by passion, ignorance. Now let me ask a question. How many of you had met people in goodness before coming to Krishna consciousness? Or let's say, no, let me put it this way. How many of you know mode of goodness people existing in the outside world? Let me ask this way. Does people exist in mode of goodness in the outside world? Yes or no? या बाहर की दुनिया पूरी गैर गुजरी है. Give me an example. Yes. हाँ बोलो ना. देख के लगते हैं. तुम्हारे देखने से या तुम्हारे मोड ऑफ गुडनेस like what? Like what? दिखते हैं गुडनेस. हमने दिखने वाली गुडनेस की क्वालिटी की तो बात ही नहीं करी. But their actions, how their actions? No, not about Krishna consciousness. We're not talking. We're talking about mode of goodness. Krishna consciousness is not about mode of goodness. Krishna consciousness is about Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. It's not about goodness. But we're talking about, do we even have people in goodness today? So give me an example. Which people would you find in goodness, or have you found in goodness? Huh? Acha, Baba. That's okay. Baba, Amma. Correct. So there are professions which are meant to be in goodness. Profession like doctors, professions like teachers. Your action determines it. Somebody in IT profession, you say he's in goodness. You are in ignorance. All right? Nobody in IT profession could be in goodness. Not possible. Outside world. Because the action itself is like that. You getting it? Unless that person has a spiritual culture like all of you. You are in goodness because all of you, don't take it for granted, huh? We have to come to goodness yet. So I might say, we are in goodness because we are practicing spiritual culture. But outside person without spiritual culture, the action, the job that he is in is not goodness. So teachers, doctors, brahmanas who would perform samskaras, who does deity worship, these are goodness people, supposed to be in goodness. Now God knows how many doctors, teachers, and brahmanas are in goodness. This is the collapse of the society. Kshatriyas, passion. Vaishyas, passion, ignorance. And Shudras, ignorance. This is how your Varnashram is divided in goodness, passion, ignorance. Now you understanding? दिखने में होने में अभी अंतर हो गया. See from this perspective. All right? Okay, text number 18. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसा जगन्या गुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसा. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्वस्था, जो मोड ऑफ गुडनेस में होते हैं व्यक्ति, उनको अच्छी गति प्राप्त होती है. जो रजोगुण में होते हैं बेचारे बीच में लटके रह जाते हैं, जैसे हम पृथ्वी लोक पे निवासी. जगन्य गुणावृत्ति स्था अधो गच्छन्ति तमसः तामसः. और जिन्होंने जगन्य गुणा, जिन्होंने बहुत बुरे कर्म करे हैं, they go down to the lower planetary system or into the lower species. Purport. Mother Induradika, please read the purport.
Sorry. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. In this verse, the results of actions in the three modes of nature are more explicitly set forth. There is an upper planetary system consisting of the heavenly planets where everyone is highly elevated. According to the degree of development of the mode of goodness, the living entity can be transferred to various planets in this system. The highest planet is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where the prime person of this universe, Lord Brahma, resides. We have seen already that we can hardly calculate the wondrous condition of life in Brahmaloka, but the highest condition of life, the mode of goodness, can bring us to this. The mode of passion is mixed. It is in the middle between the mode of goodness and ignorance. A person is not always pure, but even if he should be purely in the mode of passion, he will simply remain on this earth as a king or a rich man. But because there are mixtures, one can also go down. People on this earth in the mode of passion or ignorance cannot forcibly approach the higher planets by machine. In the mode of passion, there is also the chance of becoming mad in the next life. The lowest quality, the mode of ignorance, is described here as abominable.
हरे कृष्ण. तो जितने भी पागल हैं आज के, पिछले जन्म में रजोगुण में जीवन त्याग है उन्होंने. I'm not saying Prabhupada says in the mode of passion, there's also a chance of becoming mad in the next life. I will just make a little disclaimer. Those who are living in life in mode of passion ignorance, there are 99% chances they'll become bad in this lifetime only. You meet people outside. I meet so many people that say, Prabhu, Krishna can't save my life, otherwise I would have become total crazy person. How many of you have come across this, people telling you, how life has become complicated, family situations are so troublesome, so many things are going at home, it is only Krishna consciousness which is giving me strength, it is only the holy names of the Lord giving me strength, otherwise I would have become utterly crazy. How many of you, I'm not saying you saying that, I'm saying how many of you have come across or have met devotees who have expressed this, life has become very difficult at times like that. Continue.
The result of developing ignorance is very, very risky. It is the lowest quality in material nature. Beneath the human level, there are 8 million species of life. Birds, beasts, reptiles, trees, etc. And according to the development of the mode of ignorance, people are brought down to these abominable conditions. The word tamasa is very significant here. Tamasa indicates those who stay continuously in the mode of ignorance without rising to a higher mode. Their future is very dark. There is an opportunity for men in the mode of goodness and passion to be elevated to the mode of goodness, and that system is called Krishna consciousness. But one who does not take advantage of this opportunity will certainly continue in the lower modes.
Hare Krishna. Another experience that I had, some of you might also have had the same experience. The COVID era, particularly, what happened during the COVID time was it was kind of a, our life before the COVID era was moving at a cruise speed, super fast. Our life was super fast. People had no time, no time for God, of course, no time even for family members. Do you acknowledge? Yes, this was the life before COVID. And suddenly, unexpected obstacle came. Imagine you're driving on a highway at 120 kilometer per hour. Suddenly, a huge obstacle comes on the way. What do you have to do? You have to suddenly press a brake. Zzz. It's just like imagine you're driving on a highway and suddenly a truck in front of you topples. Because it topples, you have to press a brake. It's all unexpected. And now, unless the truck can be removed, you cannot move forward. Something like that happened, COVID. Suddenly this COVID crisis happened. We immediately had to put a break on our life. Wherever we were, we rushed back to our homes. Lockdown was declared. For next 2-3 weeks, there was no clarity what's going to happen. And we were there wherever we are. We were just stuck. Yes? Hundreds and hundreds of people have told me, when they got stuck like this, many of them didn't know what to do with life. Because suddenly they had so much time with them, which they earlier thought they never had. If you all could recognize that, because now all their travel time was saved. And suddenly, the work became a little more easier to be performed because now you can do it from home. It was more flexible. You had time. And when they found time, and those among many were fortunate enough to hear the message of Bhagavad Gita, their lives got transformed. Their lives got transformed. I know some of you sitting here also got connected during COVID time only. Now, what was the difference? Bhagavad Gita is still the same. Prabhupada's commentary has been there from 65. This is what, 65 to 50 plus years? Now 57, 58 years now. Had been there for so long. And some of you had been living for so long. Why you never got? Maybe you had a copy of Bhagavad Gita also. But now suddenly you get a copy in your hand. And I know many people, one course of ISKCON became very famous, which all of us did. 18 days Bhagavad Gita. It was super duper hit. I would say, जिसने खुद ने भगवद गीता नहीं पढ़ी ना, उसने भी भगवद गीता पढ़ के 18 दिन में भगवद गीता सुनाई दी. Every preacher did this Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. So many people heard, millions and millions of people really heard Bhagavad Gita. And their lives got transformed. The point I'm trying to make here is, just because they gave attention for some point of time in their life to Bhagavad Gita, their life got transformed. They all have latched onto the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. This is the real education. We have to endeavor, strive, and think of the ways just to let people read and hear about this. That is called as action in Shuddha Sattva. We transcend even the mode of goodness. When we act in Shuddha Sattva, it does not mean there is no anxiety. We are in the material world, anxiety would still be there. It may seem like action and passion, but what is the objective? Objective is to spread Krishna consciousness. So far we have discussed about action mode of goodness, action mode of passion, action mode of ignorance. But we all know this is a documented fact now, that hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people got connected to Krishna consciousness just because they heard Bhagavad Gita for the first time in their life. or read for the first time in their life. However, this wisdom had been there for all the time. Let's say at least for last 50 years, Prabhupada's writing was there. But now when we took our opportunity to read and hear about it, life was transformed. The point I'm trying to make it, please see the potential that this has. If we all can make a little attempt at our side, invest a little thinking into it, how can we take this message out to public? Life will be changed. Unfortunately, we do not have any spiritual colleges and universities where we can openly teach Bhagavad Gita to every student who signed up for the engineering or medical program. If that would have been done, or that could be done, imagine how much change would happen. And as we read in one of the purports, at least if not Shuddha Sattva, mode of goodness person will come. And if there are certain population in the world situated in mode of goodness, which is not today, very few. Even Brahmanas are corrupted, Pandits are corrupted. For that reason, I'm not saying it's one particular class is corrupted. I'm saying in general because of Kali's influence. But if in case if we understand this is the real knowledge. If we can all make an endeavor, I would say we have to some extent successful in expressing our gratitude to the teachers who taught us the science, to Srila Prabhupada, and to Lord Shri Krishna who spoke this message of Bhagavad Gita. But if we just hold on to it and sit back to us with ourselves, I'm sorry, you're a miser. You still continue to remain in mode of ignorance because you're not thinking how to uplift others. That is the consciousness in Shuddha Sattva Guna. You cannot sit quietly. You would do everything possible at your end to take this message out and share with everyone else. Difference between Shuddha Sattva and Sattva Guna is selfish. Sattva Guna person is content. He thinks I am happy. Who cares for others? Let me be happy. But Shuddha Sattva Guna is not like that. Shuddha Sattva Guna is a platform where Prahlad Maharaj said, let me suffer. Let me take birth in this world again and again for the emancipation and upliftment of others. My dear Lord, until even one sinful person is remaining in the world, let me take birth for that person. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he went to Narkalok. Janak Maharaj. And he said, I'm willing to stay back here until everyone goes back. And then Yamaraj had to plead, no, they deserve punishment. And just having darshan with Yudhishthira Maharaj, everyone got delivered like that. So that's the difference between Shuddha Sattva, that's the difference in Sattva Guna. So good, by practicing spiritual culture, we are cultivating some Sattva Guna. Now you understand why Prabhupada emphasized preaching. Yesterday only I was reading one of the letters of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, preaching is so essential, it gives life. It gives enthusiasm. And if you cannot do preaching, if you're not doing preaching, Prabhupada said, you're as good as dead person. What is the point here? I would say the point here is of Shuddha Sattva Guna. This is how we come to the platform of Shuddha Sattva Guna, where actual compassion arises. So all of us, if we talk about, I don't think so anyone is a student here. All of you are professionals, all of you are earning individuals. If not anything, maybe once in a month, not once in a month, set a target. Somehow I should distribute Bhagavad Gita. If not, go and donate some copies of Bhagavad Gita. Something should be done. There should be a conscious effort and responsibility we should make. Find some way or other, that this message of Krishna consciousness should go out. You should be contributing in the sharing of the message of Bhagavad Gita. Ask how you can do it. If you don't know how to do it, then ask others who are doing it and learn from them how you can be the part and contribution. Otherwise, just we continue to live. Maybe we may rise up to Sattva Guna, but there's still, we may still get to the higher planets, but we'll not cross across this material creation. So there's some thoughts I want to mention. This is not the subject matter here. Shuddha Sattva Guna is not discussed by Krishna, so it's not been mentioned here. But I just gave you some clue over here. So take this as a responsibility. We don't know how long we're going to live. Don't think I have to have a huge savings account for myself. All your savings not going to save you at all. No saving saves anyone. Only the grace of the Lord saves an individual. Only the blessing saves. So latching on to your bank balance, thinking that it's not that you're not supposed to have bank balance, you're not supposed to have savings. You're supposed to have it. but unnecessary under over anxiety, fearful about one's well-being, and depriving oneself from this golden opportunity that we all have. We don't have to write a commentary. We don't have to publish a book. We don't have to go and give a class. We can so easily take part in this whole, mission of actually purifying the environment by just sharing the words of Srila Prabhupada. And this should be done on a monthly basis. Every month you should set a target for yourself. Some way or other I should be contributing to Srila Prabhupada's preaching mission. I should have some service. It could be with your time, it could be with your money. We all should have it. Think how we can facilitate. Maybe you may not have the capacity to speak and share. Then facilitate those who have the capacity to speak and share. Become their assistant, learn with them, and then help them promote Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of Vedic scriptures. That is how we can contribute, and that is all our action will bring us into Shuddha Sattva Gun. Unless we perform, we don't know what it means to be. We continue to remain in the modes of matter nature, bound by Sattva Gun, Rajagun, Tamagun, and keep fluctuating within it. Maybe in the morning hours, we are able to practice some amount of Sattva Guna, rest of the day go in Rajaguna, Tamagun. Even for morning program, how much our mind is quiet when we are chanting, you know of it. Or how agitated it is, you know of it. And how to make a difference? Take part in preaching mission as given to us by Srila Prabhupada. That is how we come to Shuddha Sattva. With that, we'll pause here. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So we concluded with the text number 18, 19 of which we shall read tomorrow. Hare Krishna. We have another class to attend to now. We'll